All right, United fans, welcome back. It's transfer deadline day, and well, let's just say after that shocker against Palace, there's a lot to unpack. We've got reports from Ut District, NBC Sports, The Independent, the Manchester Evening News, even Crystal Palace FC Silici. So are we desperately hoping for a last-minute signing? Or are we bracing ourselves for more of the same? I'm not sure. Let's just dive right in.
I think the Palace defeat, as tough as it was to watch, might actually be the push United need to make some moves.
Okay, help me out here. Because a 2-0 loss at Old Trafford, I just don't see the silver lining, especially with Pateta scoring twice against us. And that makes up their second win in a row at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
It's their second win in a row there.
See, it stings.
7 home losses in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, ouch. Not pretty.
But look at it this way. Hodgland and Xerxes were basically invisible. They came on, they were benched, they came on again, and still couldn't spark anything. This could be the wake-up call Amorim needs to finally go all in on a new striker.
So you're thinking this could be the push to snag Mathis Tell from Bayern Munich?
Wood District has him as the top target. And they're saying that he's hungry for playing time.
Exactly. And seeing Hodgland and Xerxes struggle might just convince Tell that he will get that chance at United.
Yeah, it's a risk for sure.
Yeah.
He's young.
He is.
He hasn't been tested in the Premier League, but the potential is huge.
Huge.
And we all saw glimpses of what he could do at Bayern.
Yeah.
And let's be real, our attack needs a spark. We've failed to score in 9 Premier League matches this season. For a club like United, that's just unacceptable.
Absolutely.
But before we get too carried away with the Tell hype, Ut District also had this to say. United has too many problems for a few young players to fix. And while there will certainly be improvements in some areas, Amorim's side will undoubtedly continue to struggle. Are we putting too much faith in one young player?
I think that's a fair point. A single signing, even one as talented as Tell, isn't a cure-all. The Palace match showed us that we've got Dupo problems, especially when it comes to tactics and squad depth.
Several articles were calling out our lack of attacking cohesion. And then there's the whole Rashford drama. The Guardian is reporting that things have gotten so bad between him and Amorim that they're not even speaking directly anymore.
It's been brewing for a while now, throughout that whole January transfer window. And it looks like that Palace match was the final straw.
Now they're saying that Rashford is off to Aston Villa on loan. It's tough to see a homegrown lad leave like this. But if he's not in Amorim's plans, maybe it's for the best.
It does raise the question, though, if Rashford's out, does that put even more pressure on United to land Tell? Are they putting all their eggs in one basket?
That's a great point. And speaking of pressure, we can't forget the other blow from the Palace match. Lisandro Martinez's injury.
Ooh, that was rough. To see him stretchered off in tears, it's a massive hit for the team, on and off the pitch.
Amorim even said it looked like a serious situation. He went on to say he is not only a great player, but a strong character in the dressing room. He felt it, and when you are a player, you know when it is something serious. We're here to help him in this difficult moment, like he has helped us. What does this mean with the deadline, just hours away? Will we see United scrambling for another defender?
That's the million-dollar question. We already needed defensive reinforcements, and now it's even more urgent. These next few hours are going to be nerve-wracking for us United supporters. All right, so let's look ahead to what these potential moves could mean for United's upcoming fixtures. We've got some tough opponents coming up, starting with that FA Cup tie against Leicester.
Yeah, tell me about it. And then just a week later, it's Spurs away. That's always a nail-biter. If Tell does sign, do you think he'll be thrown right into that starting 11? Or will Amorim maybe take it slow?
That is the big question. If United are desperate for goals, they might not have the luxury of easing him in. But chucking a young player into the deep end, especially at a club like United, can backfire.
Wood District made a good point about the pressure these new signings will face. They even mentioned that Aiden Heaven, the young defender, might get more playing time than anyone expected because of Martinez's injury. It feels like we're putting a lot of responsibility on these kids' shoulders.
It's a risky strategy, no doubt. But it also shows the faith that Amorim has in youth. He's the one who brought Manu and Garnacho into the first team, and they've both shown real potential.
That's true. And I got to say, playing Manu as a false 9 against Palace was a bold move. It didn't quite come off. But you have to admire Amorim for trying something different.
Yeah, for those who might not be familiar with the term, a false 9 is basically a striker who drops deeper into midfield, trying to create space and confusion for the opposition. It can be really effective, but it requires a very specific skill set. Manu's a talented lad, but he's naturally a midfielder. Asking him to lead the line like that was a gamble, especially in a match as crucial as the Palace one.
It definitely highlighted Amorim's willingness to experiment, to think outside the box, which honestly is what we need right now. We're stuck in this rut. Losing at home to teams that we should be beating. Something has got to change.
And that's why this transfer deadline day is so critical. It's a chance for Amarim to reshape the squad, bring in players who fit his vision.
But will he get the backing that he needs from the board? Will they open up that checkbook and let him make the moves that he needs to make?
That's the million-dollar question. What we can do, though, is analyze how the potential arrivals of Tella and maybe another offender would change the dynamic on the pitch.
Okay, let's game this out then. Let's say that Tell does sign, and Martinez is out for a while.
Yeah.
How do you see Amarim lining up against a team like Tottenham?
Well, first off, let's not forget that Spurs are no pushovers. They're solid defensively and have some serious firepower up front.
Yeah, Kane is always a nightmare to face. And don't forget about Son. That guy can score from anywhere.
Exactly. So knowing that, I think Amarim will prioritize defensive stability, we might see a back three with Maguire in the center and Lindelof and maybe even Dalot on either side.
Dalot in the back three. Interesting. But wouldn't that leave us exposed on the flanks?
It is a trade-off. Dalot has the pace to keep up with Son, and he's decent in the air, but you are right. It does leave us a bit vulnerable out wide. That's where the midfielders will have to work extra hard to cover those spaces. In midfield, I think it'll be Ugarte and Casemiro holding things down, with Fernandez ahead of them in the number 10 role.
So a 3-5-2 formation then. Which raises the question, who partners Tell up top? Surely not Xerxes after that Palace performance.
Good point. If Højlund is fit, he might get the nod. But if not, Amarim might have to get a little bit creative. We could even see Garnacho in a more central attacking role.
No, that would be exciting. Garnacho's fearless, loves to take on defenders. I can see him causing all sorts of problems for the Spurs backline, but wouldn't that be a bit too much too soon for him?
Possibly. But Amarim has shown that he's not afraid to give young players a chance. And let's be honest, we need someone to shake things up in attack.
Agreed. But regardless of who starts, the key for United will be to keep their shape and stay disciplined. We can't afford to give Spurs any freebies.
Absolutely. And we can't afford another slow start. We were sluggish in the first half against Palace, and it cost us.
Yeah. If we want to get anything from that Tottenham match, we'll need to come out firing on all cylinders.
It's going to be a tense, tactical battle, and honestly, it's anyone's guess how it'll play out.
True. That's what we love about football, though.
Right.
The unpredictability.
Absolutely. But before we get carried away with Tottenham, we've got that FA Cup clash against Leicester to deal with.
Right. And we can't take Leicester lightly. They might be struggling in the league, but they're always up for a cup tie.
Plus, they'd love nothing more than to knock out the 12-time FA Cup winners.
You can bet on that. So before we get lost in all these transfer deadline daydreams, let's remember that we've got some immediate challenges to overcome. All right, let's zoom out for a minute and look at the bigger picture. If Tello does end up at Old Trafford, what does that tell us about Amarim's long-term vision for the club?
Now, that's where things get really interesting. Signing a young, relatively untested player like Tell could signal a shift towards a more youth-focused approach, a commitment to building for the future.
Which, let's be honest, is something we haven't really seen a lot of at United in recent years. It's been more about splashing the cash on big names, bringing in aging superstars, not enough focus on long-term planning.
Exactly. Amarim seems to be breaking that mold. He's willing to take a chance on younger players, nurture their talent, give them a chance to prove themselves.
But will he get the time and the patience to see that vision through? We United fans are a demanding bunch. We're used to success. We're used to trophies. Are we ready for a long-term rebuild?
That's the million-dollar question. The pressure at Old Trafford is immense. But if anyone can handle it, it's Amarim. He's got the experience, the tactical nous. And most importantly, he believes in his philosophy.
That's what excites me about this whole situation. It feels like we're finally turning a page. We're starting a new chapter. But it won't be easy. There will be bumps along the way, setbacks, frustrating moments.
Absolutely. But that's part of the journey, isn't it? As fans, we need to be patient, trust the process, and support the manager and the players.
Couldn't agree more. So as we head into these final hours of this crazy transfer deadline day, what should we United fans be watching for? What are the key storylines, the potential twists and turns that could make or break our season?
Well, first and foremost, we need to see if that Tella deal actually gets over the line. Bayern are shrewd negotiators, and they'll want to get top dollar for their young starlet.
And with Rashford potentially heading to Villa, finding a replacement winger becomes even more urgent. The rumor mill is churning with names like Leon Bailey. Will we see a last-minute swoop for him or someone else entirely?
That's what makes deadline day so compelling, isn't it? The unexpected moves, the last-minute scrambles. But beyond individual players, we also need to see how Amarim reacts to the Martinez injury. Will he bring in another defender, or will he put his faith in the youngsters he already has?
Maybe, just maybe, this transfer window will be the turning point. Maybe it'll spark a resurgence at Old Trafford, the start of something truly special.
It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? To witness the birth of a new era, the rise of a young, dynamic team under the guidance of a brilliant manager.
That's the dream, isn't it? But for now, all we can do is wait.
Mm.
Watch and see how this dramatic deadline day unfolds.
Yeah.
Thanks for breaking it all down with us.
My pleasure.
And to all you United fans out there, buckle up because it's going to be a wild ride.
It always is. And as we watch the rest of the season play out, here's something to think about. If Tele does join United, will he be given the freedom and the support he needs to thrive? Or will he become another victim of the pressure cooker that is Old Trafford?
That's a great point to ponder as we see how it all shakes out. Until next time, keep the faith, United fans. The roller coaster never ends.